Most backyard income animals make you wait. You buy the setup, feed 'em for half a year, and pray the money shows up before you quit. But a handful of fast-breeding creatures flip that. Each one of these 7 can pay back its entire startup cost in about 60 days because they breed fast, sell into hungry feeder and egg markets, and need a shed corner, not land. Here is the honest part most videos bury, so I am putting it first. You have heard the number $2,000 a month. That is the stacked aggregate, all 7 running together, built out after months of work. It is not what one bin of mealworms pays you next month. Anyone who tells you a single colony prints $2,000 by Tuesday is lying, and the comments always catch them. 60-day payback means you earn back the small startup, not that you are suddenly rich. Your real buyers here are unglamorous and dependable. Reptile and bird keepers, local pet stores, gardeners, anglers, and egg customers down the road. The first cycle, you net almost nothing because the colony is still building. We count down from 7 to 1, ascending by how reliably each one pays you back and then keeps paying, ending on the single animal I would start tomorrow if speed mattered most. And before any math, one rule, repeated all the way down. Check your state's invasive species list, your city and HOA or lease, and the shipping rules first. Number 7. Black soldier fly larvae. A waste-eating grub that goes from egg to harvest ready in about 2 weeks, the fastest biological cycle on this entire list. You feed it your kitchen scraps and spent produce, and it turns garbage into 2 sellable things, high-protein live feed and a fertilizer called frass. Almost nobody runs this for money, for one honest reason. The adult fly does not eat. The colony needs warmth, and in cold climates, it stalls dead for half the year. Here is the real math. Startup is the cheapest on this list, $60 to $150. A self-harvesting bin or stacked totes run $30 to $90. A starter cup of larvae is $15 to $30, and the feed is your food waste, free. Ongoing is almost nothing, $5 to $15 a month. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $0 to $40, the smallest earner here, which is why it sits at 7. On price, live BSF larvae sell to chicken and reptile keepers for roughly $4 to $5 a pound, a 20-pound box around $90, and the frass fertilizer moves at a few dollars a pound. 2 real buyers. Backyard chicken keepers on local Facebook homestead groups who buy live larvae as a protein treat, and gardeners and small nurseries who want the frass, which tests around 2 to 4% nitrogen, real plant food, not hype. Now the legal landmine. Black soldier fly is native across most of the U.S. and needs no federal permit, but never ship or release larvae into a state where they are not established. And the bins attract flies and smell if you overfeed, so a city nuisance complaint is the real risk, not a wildlife agency. Correct the hype out loud. Free trash equals free money, infinite scale. Reality? The cycle is genuinely fast, and the feed is free, but the colony dies back in cold weather. The market is local and small because live larvae do not ship well, and a beginner nets tens of dollars a month, not a wage. Fast to pay back, then it plateaus. Number 6. Red wigglers. Icenia fetida, the composting worm, raised in stacked bins that eat your scraps and cardboard. The population doubles roughly every 60 to 90 days, and you sell 2 things from one animal, live worms and the castings they leave behind. The land animal crowd ignores them because a worm bin is not exciting and the doubling is steady, not explosive. The catch hype ignores castings take time. Real math. Startup is $80 to $180. A stacked worm tower or a couple of tote bins for 30 to 70, a starting pound of red wigglers, about 1,000 worms, for 30 to 50, plus bedding. Ongoing is the lowest of all 7, 5 to 15 a month, because they eat your scraps, coffee grounds, and cardboard for free. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $20 to $60 in the first year, and here is why. The population doubles only every 2 to 3 months, so you cannot sell hard until the bin is full. Roughly 2,000 worms produce about 7 pounds of castings a month once established. On price, live composting worms sell around $40 to $45 a pound direct to gardeners, and pure castings move at $15 to $20 per pound or small bag. 2 real buyers, gardeners and homesteaders on local Facebook and Craigslist who want both worms and castings every spring, and anglers plus local bait shops who buy live worms by the cup. Now, the legal landmine. Red wigglers are legal to raise and sell across the U.S. with no federal permit, but they are not native, so never dump a bin outdoors near waterways, and a few states watch invasive earthworm spread in northern forests, so check local rules before shipping live worms across a state line. Over $600 a year is reportable income. Correct the hype out loud. Worms double forever, so one bin becomes an empire. Reality, they do double, but only every 60 to 90 days. Castings build slowly, the bin can crash from heat or overfeeding, and the market is local and seasonal. A one-bin beginner nets tens of dollars a month, climbing only as you add bins. Cheap to pay back, then it grows slowly. Number 5. Crickets. The classic feeder insect, Acheta domesticus, reaching adult size in about 6 to 8 weeks. Reptile and amphibian keepers buy them constantly because most pets only eat live moving prey, so demand never stops. Few people breed them at home for one honest reason. Crickets are loud, they smell, and a colony crash from disease or a cold night can wipe you out overnight. Real math. Startup is dirt cheap, $30 to $100. You can set up a basic cricket farm for as little as $30 with 2 plastic totes, egg crate cardboard, a heat source, and a water gel, and a starter batch of 1,000 crickets runs $15 to $60. Ongoing is $10 to $30 a month, mostly cheap grain feed, a scrap or 2, and heat mat electricity. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $20 to $70 in year 1, and here is the catch. The 6 to 8 week cycle means your first sellable generation is 2 months out, and beginners lose colonies to smell, mites, and chilling before they scale. On price, feeder crickets retail around 2 to 3 cents each, 1,000 quarter-inch crickets near $28, but a pet store buying from you pays wholesale, often closer to 1 cent each. 2 real buyers. Local reptile and pet stores, which run out of live crickets constantly and will take a steady weekly supply, and reptile keepers, direct on Facebook reptile groups and at local expos. Now the legal landmine. Crickets are legal to raise and sell nationwide with no federal permit, but live insects shipped across state lines fall under USDA and state plant pest rules. And some states restrict shipping live feeder insects, so most home breeders sell local and let big farms handle interstate shipping. Correct the hype out loud. Crickets breed by the thousand, so easy passive money. Reality? They do breed fast and the start is cheap, but they are noisy, they stink, colonies crash, and you fight die-offs constantly. A beginner nets tens of dollars a month and earns it with daily attention, not passively. Cheap to pay back if you survive the learning curve. Number 4. Superworms. Zoophobus moreo. the larger, tougher cousin of the mealworm that reptile and bird keepers pay a premium for. You buy a batch of larvae cheap, grow them out, and sell them on at a higher per worm price within weeks, which is where the fast payback lives. Few beginners breed them fully, for one honest reason: turning larvae into beetles and back into worms is slow and fiddly, so most people just grow and resell. Real math. Startup is $60 to $150. Stacking bins, oats and wheat bran for substrate, and vegetable scraps run $30 to $70, and 1,000 starter superworms cost roughly $30 to $80. Ongoing is $10 to $25 a month. Cheap grain bran plus a few scraps for water with no heater needed in a warm room. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $20 to $70 in year one. And here is the wrinkle. If you only grow and resell, payback is genuinely fast, but a true breeding loop is slow. The full cycle from egg to mature beetle takes the better part of a year, so your sustainable supply builds slowly, even though each grow-out batch sells in weeks. On price, live superworms sell for about 8 to 15 cents each at retail, 1,000 running roughly $80 to $150, far more per worm than mealworms. Two real buyers, reptile and bird keepers direct, who prize superworms for bearded dragons and larger reptiles, and local pet and reptile stores plus expos. Now the legal landmine. Superworms are legal nationwide with no federal permit, but the same interstate live insect shipping rules apply, and a few warm states watch darkling beetle pests, so sell local and confirm your state's rules before shipping across a line. Over $600 a year is reportable income. Correct the hype out loud. Superworms sell high, so instant margins. Reality. The per worm price is genuinely good, and grow out is fast, but real self-sustaining breeding is slow and labor-heavy, so your scale climbs over months, not weeks. A beginner nets tens of dollars a month at first. Fast to pay back, slow to scale. Number 3. Mealworms. Tenebrio molitor. Grown in stacked shelf trays with almost no daily labor, the lowest friction insect farm there is. Huge, steady demand from chicken keepers, wild bird feeders, reptile owners, and anglers means there is always a buyer. People skip them for one honest reason: the colony takes about 10 weeks to truly hit its stride, so the start feels slow, even though the work is tiny. Real math. Startup is $100 to $250. A set of stacking trays or drawers for $40 to $90, wheat bran and oats for substrate for $20 to $40, and 20,000 to 50,000 starter larvae, which sounds like a lot but is cheap, for $100 to $250. Ongoing is $20 to $50 a month, mostly bran and the occasional carrot or potato for moisture, with no heater needed in a normal room. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $30 to $100 once established. And here is the timeline truth. The first 10 to 12 weeks, you net almost nothing while the colony builds and the beetles lay. After that, it self-sustains, with maybe an hour a week. On price, live mealworms wholesale around $20 per thousand, retail higher, and dried mealworms for the chicken and wild bird market sell by the bag at a strong markup. Two real buyers: backyard chicken keepers and wild bird feeders on local homestead groups, a genuinely large and repeat market, and local pet stores, bait shops, and reptile keepers. Now the legal landmine. Mealworms are legal to raise and sell across all 50 states with no federal permit, the cleanest legal picture on this list. But interstate shipping of live insects still falls under USDA plant pest rules. and selling dried mealworms as animal feed can trigger state feed labeling rules once you scale, so check your state's commercial feed registration before you bag and label product. Over $600 a year is reportable income. Correct the hype out loud. Mealworms farm themselves, set and forget. Big money. Reality, they truly are low labor, and the feed market is real and large. But the colony ramps for 10 weeks before it pays, and beginner net is tens of dollars a month climbing toward 100. Slow to start, then it quietly prints. Number 2. Dubia roaches. Blaptica dubia, the feeder insect reptile keepers and pet stores constantly run out of. They do not climb smooth walls, they do not fly, they barely smell, and they breed in a warm garage bin with almost no maintenance. People avoid them for one honest reason: the word roach, plus a slow start, because a colony takes months to build before it pays you back hard. Real math. Startup is $80 to $200, a couple of plastic bins with egg crate stacks for $30 to $70, a heat mat to hold them around 85 degrees for $20 to $40, and a starter colony heavy on females, which is the value, for $50 to $100. Ongoing is $10 to $30 a month, cheap roach chow plus scraps and heat mat electricity. The honest monthly net for a solo beginner is $30 to $100 after the ramp, and here is the timeline. Each adult female produces about 20 to 40 nymphs only once every 1 to 2 months, so the colony builds slowly for the first 3 to 4 months before it snowballs. On price, Dubia sells strong because demand outruns supply. Small nymphs go for several cents each, and the chronic shortage means buyers compete. 2 real buyers: local reptile and pet stores, which beg for a steady feeder supply and will take a weekly delivery, and reptile keepers direct on Facebook reptile groups and at expos. Now the legal landmine, and this one is sharp, so listen closely. Dubia roaches are legal by federal statute and need no permit to ship or receive when bred in the U.S., but they are outright banned in Florida and Hawaii, restricted in a few other states, and Florida fines violators up to $5,000. In banned states, the legal alternative is the discoid roach. Check your own state before you order a single roach. Correct the hype out loud. Dubia are in shortage, so guaranteed easy money. Reality, the demand is genuinely real and the margins are good, but the colony takes 3 to 4 months to ramp, it is illegal in Florida and Hawaii, and beginners underestimate the slow build. Strong payback once it snowballs, banned where you least expect. Number 1. Coturnix Quail. The fastest paying bird in the backyard world, going from hatched chick to laying egg in about 8 weeks, faster than almost any animal that pays you. One small shed cage of laying hens gives you eating eggs, hatching eggs, and meat birds, 3 revenue streams from one tiny bird. Few beginners start for one honest reason. They assume birds mean barns and permits, when quail need neither. The one I would start tomorrow. Here is the real math, and this is the strongest of the 7. Startup is $150 to $400, a cage or stacked rack for $100 to $300, depending on whether you build it. A starter group of birds at $2 to $5 a chick or $10 to $15 a hen, plus a feeder, waterer, and a 50-pound bag of game bird feed at $25 to $40. Ongoing is $20 to $50 a month for feed and bedding for a small flock. Now the honest monthly net, because this is where the fantasy lives. For a solo beginner with one small flock of 25 hens, it is $50 to $150 realistic in the first year. The 8-week ramp means you earn nothing for 2 months, then 25 hens lay 4 to 6 dozen eggs a week. Eating eggs sell for $3 to $6 a dozen, hatching eggs $18 to $35 a dozen, and meat birds and started chicks add more. 2 real buyers: local egg and hatching egg customers on Facebook farm groups and Craigslist where quail eggs move fast, and feed stores, farmers markets, and direct meat or chick buyers. Now the legal landmine. Coturnix are classed as domestic or exempt game birds in most states, so many places need no permit for personal flocks, and unlike a rooster, their crow is quiet, which keeps neighbors calm. But this is exactly where honesty matters. Florida exempts only flocks of 100 or fewer kept non-commercially. The moment you sell birds or eggs, the rules can change, and your city, HOA, or lease can still ban all poultry regardless of state law. Check your city and HOA before a single bird. Over $600 a year is reportable income. Correct the hype out loud. Quail print money in 8 weeks, instant farm income. Reality? The 8-week cycle is genuinely the fastest payback here, and 3 revenue streams are real. But you net nothing for 2 months, feed and predators eat your margin, and a beginner flock makes $50 to $150 a month, not thousands. Real recurring income comes from stacking cages and selling hatching eggs, not one starter flock overnight. So how do these 7 stack on a shed shelf into one roughly $2,000 aggregate? They share space, warmth, and waste. One heated shed corner holds quail at the top, dubia and mealworm bins on a rack below, crickets and superworms beside them, a worm tower in the cool corner, and a black soldier fly bin eating the scraps from all of it. Build in this order. Start with quail, the fastest payback and the anchor income. Then add dubia and mealworms for steady feeder demand. Then crickets and superworms for variety buyers. Then worms and black soldier fly to turn waste into bonus cash. The quail fund the bins feed each other, and 7 fast payback starts become one stacked income after months, not next week. A free starter guide in the description has the build order and the legal points per animal. That ranking is my honest read, ascending by how reliably each one pays back and keeps paying, ending on the Coturnix Quail I would start tomorrow. But remember the promise I made at the top. The $2,000 is the stacked aggregate of all 7 running together after months of work, not what one bin pays you next month. 60-day payback means you earn back a small startup, not that you are suddenly rich. The honest beginner reality is tens of dollars a month per animal, climbing to real recurring income only when you stack them and let the colonies build. The first cycle, you net almost nothing, and that is normal, not failure. The one I would start tomorrow is the quail, the fastest cycle, 3 revenue streams, and a quiet bird neighbors tolerate. Then layer the bins in around it. And the refrain that runs this entire list: before you sell a single animal, check 3 things. Your state's invasive species and feeder rules, because Dubia roaches are banned in Florida and Hawaii, live insects fall under USDA shipping rules, and worms and black soldier fly should never be released outdoors. Your city ordinance and your HOA or lease, because quail are quiet, but a poultry ban still beats state law, and a smelly bin still draws a nuisance complaint. And the shipping rules, because live animals move under USDA and USPS rules, and over $600 a year is reportable income. If a single number surprised you, or you would rank these differently, tell me in the comments, because the people breeding these in their actual sheds keep me honest. If the real math helped, the modest net numbers, and the legal landmines nobody else says out loud, subscribe, because that honesty is the whole channel. Next video, I take the Coturnix Quail and go deep. The real $200 setup, the real egg math, and the mistakes that cost beginners their first flight.